Right, so every year we get some new report telling us we could see macOS on the iPads, and this year's no different. We have a new report regarding this, and I still have my doubts, so let's delve into it. So relatively credible source Mijinbu tells us we could see macOS come to M2 iPads exclusively in the near future. Now again, like I said, I do have my doubts about this because we've been wanting Apple to do the right thing with the iPad Pro and give it more pro software, but Apple's done nothing with the iPads. And so why should we believe this and get excited about it when the chances are pretty low of this happening in the first place? I mean, John Prosser told us we would see pro apps with the iPads back in 2020, and of course 2 years later and we still don't have that. And so yes, I've given up hope on the iPads and Apple doing the right thing with this platform. Also, what's really sus about this leak is the fact this simplified version of macOS only runs on the M2 iPads. Why would there be a limitation that prevents macOS from running on the M1 iPads? I'm not too sure myself, and it would not make sense because in the past you could argue the 2018 and 2020 iPad Pros could not run macOS due to the lack of memory swap and also the fact they did not have Mac chips. But that's no longer the case. These have a minimum of 8 gigs of RAM with the M1 and the M2 chips. The Macs have, so the M1 iPads should also get this. And yes, I know what you're thinking, Apple wants to upsell consumers to the M2 iPads. Yes, that is a possibility, but ultimately I think there would be tons of outrage if this was not coming to the M1 iPads. But anyways, macOS coming to the iPads in the first place seems very unlikely in my opinion, because if Apple was planning to give us major upgrades with the iPads, they would have done that with the M1 models, and also Apple is a business so they don't want their products cannibalizing each other, which of course would be the result if the iPad got macOS. And so that's why even if Apple does somehow give us macOS on the iPads, there are going to be limitations. For example, like the source says, maybe it is a simplified version that of course can't run all the macOS apps. Similarly, maybe this only works on higher storage tiers, or maybe you can no longer use iPadOS alongside this if you do choose to use macOS. And to be honest, I would be fine with those compromises. I just want Apple to give us pro software for the iPads, and if Mijinbu is right, that would be great. But I do have my doubts because we've been expecting Apple to give us major upgrades for many years now, but of course, that's still not the case. So from now on, I'm just going to be tempering my expectations. And yeah, actually, this source wrongly believed Resolve was exclusive to the M2 iPads. And so yeah, that should tell you this information is not credible, so do take this with a grain of salt. Continuing with the rumors that make no sense, we do have a report telling us we could see a 16-inch iPad launching Q4 2023. So this does come from the information, a pretty credible source, and this seems absolutely wild to me because when the software's still so restricted, what's the point of offering a 16-inch iPad? Now this could appeal to artists, but then again, this is going to be a very cumbersome device to carry around and of course is going to kill all portability, so I don't think they're going to like this. And so yes, who's going to buy this? And what's funny is that reports previously have mentioned a 14-inch iPad, and I could see a market for that. It's not that much bigger than the 12-inch size and could help differentiate the iPad Pros, but 16 inches does seem ridiculous. And what's even more confusing is that Ross Young in the past has told us a 14-inch 60Hz LCD iPad is in the works. And so is this 16-inch iPad the Pro variant, or is this the iPad Ross Young describes, but maybe Ross Young was wrong about the display size? I'm not too sure myself, and frankly none of these rumors make sense. Really, the only way Apple can justify giving us bigger iPads is by improving the software first, and so yes, if magically Apple does somehow deliver and give us macOS on the iPads, then yes, I'm down for bigger iPads. But if that's not the case, and it's still the same old macOS that's still very limited, then I don't see the point of these bigger iPads. Yes, they might appeal to a very small niche of those doing art on iPads, but that's about it. Anyways, let's now delve into news that actually does make sense, and that's OLED coming to the iPad Pros. So yes, we've heard about this for a while now, but of course, we should see hybrid OLED panels come to future versions of the iPad Pro in 2024. And what's new is that Ross Young does confirm to us the 11-inch and the 12.9-inch is getting this upgrade, which is great news because obviously with the M2 iPads, Apple once again neglected the 11-inch iPads, and so I'm very glad the 11-inch is getting OLED. And for those wondering what the benefits are with OLEDs, we should see double the brightness, 4 times longevity because these are hybrid panels, and so they basically have the best of both worlds. You have the colors and the better contrast ratio that flexible panels have, for example the iPhone panels, but of course you have the additional durability rigid panels have, especially on larger displays. And this is pretty important because many of us use iPads for many years, way longer than iPhones, and so display durability is important. So yeah, this overall is great news, and if you're not in a rush to upgrades, I would actually wait for these iPads because we've heard about the next iPads getting thinner bezels, bigger displays, maybe dynamic island and other features. So yeah, basically these should be much bigger upgrades than the M2 models. But again, like I said previously, before all these hardware changes, we should see software upgrades with the iPad first. Anyways, let's delve into your questions. So A Hyder says, I feel like the iPad hardware is leaps above anything else on the market, but the software's playing catch up. I hope they don't change the hardware too much in the upcoming years and focus on the software instead. And yes, I completely agree with this. The 2018 iPad Pro was peak hardware for the iPads, and we don't need many changes. Focus on the software first and turning this into a proper computer replacement. So Opus Digital Audio says, seeing the horizontal camera on the iPad 10 was great, wish it came to the Pros, looks like 2023/24 is going to be a whirlwind of redesigns. And yes, I'm also pretty sure the 2023 models should get some sort of redesign, especially since we've heard about larger models, even though that does not make a ton of sense to me, but anyways, yes, we could see design changes. But honestly, we need software upgrades on the iPad first. And so to go along with these design changes, giving us actual upgrades with iPadOS 17 would be appreciated. So Opus Digital Audio once again tells us the new Magic Keyboard Folio has function keys and is ready for the next iPad Pros to get this, and also a new pencil and a redesign in 2023. And yeah, I'm looking forward to bigger changes, but again, software comes first. Improve the software, and then of course you can change the hardware however you like. Anyways, that's about it, but tell me your thoughts regarding this in the comments. Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the video above on details regarding the M2 iPad Pro, and on that note, see ya peeps.